Hey guys, so right out of the gate, I have to say, I had to read this chapter several times just to get a feel for it, because frankly, when I first read this chapter, pacing and tone were, of the chapter were just all over the damn place. And while there is a lot, and after reading it several different times, I did discover that there is a lot more I like about this chapter, but it also it's one of those chapters that never seem to get away from those pretty much two main issues for me, like pacing and tonally. There's a lot of great moments in this chapter, but pacing and tonally, it is kind of all over the place, and I think part of that just comes from the fact that, as of right now, returning to Planet Blue Garden feels like little more than a detour. But but again, there are still some pretty good character moments within this chapter. Like for example, getting to hear this version of Connor, just pretty much reveal himself as a former captain of the Aoi Cosmos Freedom Force, and hearing his backstory about his daughter. I'm not gonna lie, that from shit kind of got me emotionally hooked into Connor more than I ever have been with the character before. Like this version of Connor already feels like the most I've been invested with the character, which makes me hope that, again, this version of the character sticks around, because I would legitimately like to see him join the Eden Zero crew. In fact, I'm can't say for certain, but I'm 50-60% certain that Feather is Connor's daughter. Again, I only say 50-60% because I'm not 100% like buying into it either, but we'll just have to wait and see. The other thing though that Mashima could do in order to prevent this from feeling like a complete detour to me, and I hope he does this, is basically diving more into Rebecca's origins with this return to Blue Garden, because the fact that one thing that's always kind of stuck with me is the fact that Rebecca has the same name as the planet she pretty much lives on has always kind of intrigued me. And granted, it could just be one of those things where it was a surname that the professor had given her, but we just don't know anything about Rebecca's family, her past, and any of that shit. We barely know anything about Rebecca. We don't know anything about Rebecca's family. We barely know anything about her past, and so there are possibilities that Mashima can explore with this setup, and I hope Mashima will take full advantage of that opportunity he's created for himself with this chapter. That's kind of like expectation numero uno on my list after reading this chapter. Of course, one of the major things we learn in this chapter is that Feather who's the one of the member of the Irashian States Interstellar, has basically come to Blue Garden in order to capture or kill Shiki and the Eden Zero crew, and through that we also through the return to and through that and the crew's return to the Shooting Starlight Guild, we also learn that Feather has the same power as Noah. And yeah, I'll be curious to see what kind of connection those two have. I'm assuming either Noah had taught her the power, or they both trained to use it under the same master. But it's, again, with both of these being basically agents of the government, it's more than likely that I'm just curious to see what exactly that connection is between the two of them, because I'm more than willing to bet that Noah did train her, I think. And honestly, just with learning just that simple fact that Feather can use the same power as Noah, I'll be really curious to see how the combat dynamics are going to play out here, because because it kind of raises that question of how can you possibly fight against someone who can track your every move. And granted, Noah basically did give us a little bit of a clue on how the crew can beat her, as he revealed to us that the ability can track mechanical life forms. So any machine members of the crew of the crew, like Pino, are definitely going to be put in the spotlight here. But yeah, I'll just be curious to see how Shiki can even take advantage of that weakness in order to evade her, fight her, whatever. Because all she is after the entire crew, Shiki is kind of her prime target, with him now being considered one of the Arashi and Seis Galactica. And honestly, I'm honestly just really excited about the possibilities with this fight because understand with the Zero crew like basically coming head to head with Feather here. This will be our first real display of just how much more powerful Shiki has become over the time skip. And with him being and Feather, like with Feather being one of the Interstellar, it's kind of natural to assume that from She is basically that she's basically an opponent who can pretty much fight Shiki on fairly equal footing. So this will be like the first real test for us to see just how strong Shiki has become post time skip. And again, I'm just really excited by that possibility of just like of just how of seeing like everything like Shiki has that everything Shiki is kind of willing to kind of throw is or just how much he's willing to throw at them. Because again, Shiki not willing to go full force on her, I think could be a problem and that he's going to have to like get over, I think. Speaking of Shiki, though, I had seen, even before reading this chapter, I had seen a lot of raw scans on Twitter, like a couple weeks ago, discussing Shiki's characterization in this chapter, and I went in with as open a mind as possible, because for however much he has matured, Shiki is still going to be Shiki in certain respects. So I went in with that mindset, and now that I've read the chapter, though, yeah, I think Mashima might have overdone it a touch with Shiki's comedic moments. Like, that whole conversation with Connor, I feel Mashima should have played that a lot more straight, because seeing Shiki be old goofus in the middle of a genuinely heartfelt conversation felt extremely jarring to me. Like, I don't think, like, the from Shiki should have gone... like should have had the like comedic tear up moment or anything like that. Like he should have just had a genuine like I understand kind of moment or anything else other than like Masha making a bit of a joke out of it. Like I felt he kind of flubbed that up. He kind of flubbed that moment up a bit, I think. Now I do want to quickly talk about the whole Mildian thing, because if I'm remembering correctly, Zhao Mei herself did say that the planet doesn't, like the planet of Mildian doesn't remain in one location. So what Hermit says about what like Weiss and Shiki were discussing about using Zhao Mei in order to find Ziggy, it does all line up, but the way it's one of those weird things where the way Mashima presents it and explain it does feel a little bit like plot convenience. Again, there's nothing. I need to emphasize there's nothing wrong with the fact that they couldn't rely on Zhao Mei to find Ziggy, but to me, it's one of those things where it's all in the presentation where it feels weird to me. But yeah, again, with Eden Zero crew heading full on into a confrontation with Feather, I'll be curious how the more mechanical members will take advantage of the natural weakness they have to her power, considering she's already perfectly aware they're coming. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Analyst Crunchyroll. Be sure to hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of Midnight signing off. Later, everyone.